The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with the usual pre-session chatter. Delegates from 100 worlds filled the tiered seats, their varied forms creating a tapestry of universal diversity. Insectoid Clither clicked mandibles in animated conversation with the gelatinous Thorvians, while reptilian Drask hissed pleasantries to their feathered Avix neighbors dot in the back row. Almost unnoticed sat the human. He wore the standard gray uniform of the Terran coalition. Unremarkable, except for the small patch on his shoulder bearing Earth's blue and green insignia. His face held no expression, his posture relaxed but attentive. He had attended these sessions for 3 standard cycles now, never speaking, never raising his hand, never participating in the debates that shaped galactic policy. The others had noticed. "There sits the mute Terran again," chittered Ambassador Vex, a Clither whose compound eyes glittered with amusement. 3 cycles and not 1 word. Perhaps humans communicate only through silence. His companion, a Thorvian named Blorp, rippled with what passed for laughter among his kind. "I heard their species barely survived first contact. Probably still traumatized. Poor things." The human gave no indication he heard them. His gray eyes remained fixed on the chamber floor, waiting for the session to begin. This pattern had repeated itself countless times. The galaxy's civilizations, ancient and sophisticated, had welcomed humanity to the council with polite condescension. Humans were newcomers, primitives who had only achieved faster-than-light travel 2 generations ago. Most species present had been traversing the stars for millennia. The Terran delegate was assigned to the lower committees, the ones dealing with agricultural trade standards and mining rights on uninhabited asteroids. Important work, certainly, but far from the prestigious security councils or diplomatic corps. And he performed his duties adequately, filing reports, voting when required, but never advocating, never debating, never making his presence truly felt. "I wonder if he even understands Galactic Common," mused Drex, a Drask warrior diplomat whose scales bore the scars of a dozen campaigns. "He just sits there, cycle after cycle, like a statue." "Maybe that's all humans are good for," suggested another voice. Watching, listening, never acting. The human's expression remained unchanged. The council sessions dealt with increasingly serious matters as the cycles progressed. Trade disputes evolved into territorial disagreements. Territorial disagreements became border skirmishes. The Kren hegemony, a militaristic empire from the galactic south, began making aggressive moves into neutral space, testing boundaries, probing defenses. During emergency sessions, as ambassadors shouted and threatened, a human sat in his back row seat and listened. When votes were called, he registered Earth's position without comment. When others demanded he explain Terra's stance, he simply stated, "My vote reflects our position," and nothing more. They began calling him the Silent One in the halls. Some found it mysterious. Most found it contemptible. "Cowards," spat Ambassador Krell of the Vorgan Confederacy after one particularly heated session. "That's what humans are. Too afraid to even voice an opinion when war looms." The human walked past without acknowledging the insult. Then came the day the Kren hegemony made their ultimate move. Their fleet, massive and powerful, struck simultaneously at 7 different systems. Colonies burned. Civilian transports were destroyed. Millions died in the first wave alone. The council convened an emergency session. Chaos reigned. The hegemony's ambassador, a cruel-eyed militant named Sark, stood before them all and delivered his ultimatum. "The Kren hegemony claims these systems by right of strength," Sark declared. "Any who oppose us will face the same fate. We are the apex power in this galaxy. Submit or be destroyed." The chamber erupted. Ambassadors shouted, threatened, pleaded, but everyone present knew the truth. The Kren fleet was the largest ever assembled. No single council member possessed the military strength to oppose them, and the ancient treaties that bound the council together had no provisions for collective military action. They had relied on diplomacy and mutual interest for 10,000 cycles. That had always been enough. Until now. Ambassador Vex tried to organize a coalition, but old rivalries and fear fractured any unity. The Thorvians refused to fight alongside the Drask. The Avix wouldn't commit forces without guarantees no one could provide. The Council, for all its history and ceremony, proved toothless when confronted with raw aggression. What of the humans? Someone finally asked, almost as an afterthought. All eyes turned to the back row. The human stood slowly. For the first time in 3 cycles, he approached the speaker's platform. His footsteps echoed in the suddenly quiet chamber. He reached the podium and stood there, looking out at the assembled delegates. For a long moment, he said nothing, and the silence stretched uncomfortably. Then he spoke. "My name is John Reeves." His voice was calm, almost conversational. "I represent the Terran coalition. For 3 cycles, I have sat in these sessions and listened. I have learned about your cultures, your histories, your values. I have heard you debate philosophy and trade, art and agriculture. I have watched you build something remarkable here, a true community of worlds." He paused, his gray eyes scanning the chamber. "I have also listened to you dismiss my people as primitives, as cowards, as children playing at galactic politics. This never bothered me. We are newcomers. We have much to learn. Your opinions were understandable, if not entirely accurate." Ambassador Sark laughed, a harsh sound. Is the mute finally finding his voice? Too late, human. Your pathetic species cannot change what comes. John Reeves smiled, and something in that smile made several delegates shift uncomfortably. Before I accepted this posting, I had another career. In my language, we would call it a profession. But when other species learned of it, they translated my job title into Galactic Common using their own cultural references. He touched his identification badge, activating its display function. A holographic text appeared above the podium for all to see. Ambassador John Reeves, Terran Coalition, and below it, in smaller text that had always been present but never examined, previous occupation, military special operations, the translation. Matrix processed the Terran designation and displayed its galactic common equivalent based on the closest cultural analog from the galaxy's warrior societies. The word that appeared made the chamber fall absolutely silent. Reaper. I spent 20 cycles in Earth's military. John continued, conversational tone unchanged. Specialized operations. The kind where one person is sent to solve problems that entire armies cannot. We have different names for such soldiers. Ghost, Phantom, Shadow. But the galaxy's translation systems chose Reaper, and I suppose that's accurate enough. He pulled up another display, this one showing a star map. The Kren hegemony currently fields 2,000 capital ships, 15,000 support vessels, and approximately 4 billion combatants. Impressive numbers. The largest military force in known space. He highlighted 7 systems on the map. They have struck here, here, and here. Killed millions. Burned worlds. John's smile faded. What the hegemony does not know is that humanity learned a very important lesson in our own violent history. We learned it through centuries of warfare, through weapons that could sterilize continents, through conflicts that nearly destroyed our entire species. The chamber remained frozen, every delegate transfixed. We learned that military power is not measured in ship counts or soldier tallies. It is measured in capability and will. The Kren have many ships. Humanity has fewer. But our ships were built by a species that once stood on the edge of self-annihilation and chose to step back. We know what total war means. We know what we are capable of. And we chose to lock those capabilities away, hoping we would never need them again. He turned to face Ambassador Sark directly. The Kren hegemony has just reminded us why we kept the keys. Sark's cruel eyes narrowed. You threaten us, human? Your entire fleet is perhaps 300 vessels. We will crush you like insects. You misunderstand, John said quietly. I am not threatening. I am informing. The Terran coalition invoked Article 7 of our admission treaty 6 hours ago. We are no longer bound by Council military restrictions. Our fleet is already in motion. The displays changed, showing real-time tactical data. The delegates gasped. 300 Terran ships had seemed insignificant. But the sensor data told a different story. Each human vessel massed 5 times that of a standard cruiser. Their weapon signatures registered at levels that made no sense. Their shield harmonics suggested technology the Council had never seen. For 3 cycles, I sat silent because I was doing my job, John explained. Learning, assessing, understanding who our friends were and who might become our enemies. Preparing contingencies, hoping we would never need them. He pulled up another display. Humanity does not fight like you do. We do not mass our fleets and clash in glorious battle. We are reapers. We strike from unexpected angles. We target command structures, supply lines, morale. We have already infiltrated 14 Kren military networks. Their command and control infrastructure will collapse in approximately 4 hours. Their supply depots in 8 systems have been compromised. Their admirals are receiving contradictory orders as we speak. The data streams showed chaos spreading through the Kren military apparatus like a virus. But that is just the beginning, John continued, because humanity also remembers mercy. We remember that soldiers follow orders, that civilians are not combatants, that even enemies are still people. So we offer this one-time opportunity. He turned back to the Council. The Kren hegemony will withdraw from all occupied systems immediately. They will pay reparations to the victims. They will reduce their military to defensive levels and submit to Council oversight. In exchange, we will not demonstrate the full extent of human warfare capabilities. Sark snarled. We will never submit to primitives. John nodded sadly. I expected that response. He pressed a button. The displays changed one final time, showing the Kren home system. A single human ship appeared in orbit around their capital world. Not attacking, just present. That vessel is called Silent Witness, John said. It is not a warship. It is a demonstration platform. In approximately 30 seconds, it will show the Kren leadership what humanity is capable of. Not by destroying anything. Not by killing anyone. Simply by demonstrating power. The countdown began. The entire Council watched in horrified fascination. When it reached 0, the human ship activated dot space itself seemed to ripple. The star in the Kren home system flickered. Just for an instant, just long enough to register. But every scientist in the galaxy immediately understood the implication. Humanity had touched a star they had reached, across millions of kilometers, and manipulated. Stellar fusion itself. If they could make a star flicker, they could make it do anything. Ambassador Sark collapsed into his seat. All arrogance drained from his features. We do not want war, John said into the stunned silence. We never did. We came to this council hoping to learn, to grow, to become part of something greater than ourselves. And we still hope for that. But we will not stand by while innocents suffer. He deactivated the displays. The Kren hegemony has one standard cycle to begin withdrawals. After that, humanity will act. We will be precise. We will be restrained. But we will be absolutely thorough. John Reeves stepped down from the podium and walked back to his seat in the back row. The council session continued, but everything had changed. The quiet human in the corner was no longer invisible. The Terran coalition was no longer dismissed. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Silence is not weakness. Sometimes it is simply patience, and sometimes the silent ones are the most dangerous of all.